All right, so we've got a mix of questions here. We've got a mix of different things we're going to try to get into. But today, what I really wanted to try to dive into is something that I talk a lot about, the process. Is there a way to mute this? So it's not like pure feedback. I talk a lot about, you hear that?
Uh-huh.
A lot about. It's like I can hear like this echo. It's really bad. I don't know if y'all can hear it there too.
Better?
I talk a lot about the process. Is there a way to mute this? All right, let me mute this. All right, Steven's going to save this to watch later. Steven, you're missing out. For the rest of you, welcome. So we've done a lot of promotion around today. We've talked a lot about the art of sales. You know, if you follow my content, then you know that I talk a lot about the science of sales. And I talk a lot about the process of moving people through. And I believe that it is one of the most important parts, that if you can follow a process, and this is something I learned when I was like 26, is that there are just right and wrong ways to move buyers through the journey. There are just right and wrong ways to kind of move people through the process. So today, what we're going to do, if this is your first LinkedIn Live or Instagram Live where you have joined me, the format is super, super amazing and simple, right? One, if you hear something you like, you can hit the little like button or the clap button, whatever you feel. It makes me feel good about myself. I'm like, oh, wow, like it's working. Two, drop your questions in the comments. That be as selfish as you can be. I've got a ton of questions. I've got video DMs that we're going to cover today, but be selfish. If you have questions about sales, you have questions about the art versus the science, please let me know, and I will do my best to dive into them. So again, in true Ask Me Anything format, again, questions in the comments. I'll try to answer them. I've got a lot of questions, so I'm going to get to what I can. I like Giannis snuck one in here. Giannis Sintelis. If sales can be an art, what art movement would you compare it with? Well, my friend, I know jack shit about art. So whatever the most like subtle, like you know those. Hey Caleb, what do you call those? Do you remember that when you were kids? Remember they had those things that if you stared at them long enough, like a whale would emerge? I don't know if that's art or not, though. Do you know what I'm talking about? They had those books. You guys might be too young. They used to have these books that you could stare at them, and all of a sudden this picture would, like in 3D. I don't know if you had to cross your eyes. So I don't know is my answer to that one. I don't really know a lot about art, so I apologize. So I can't answer questions about that. If you're on Instagram, you have a question for me around the art of sales, drop it in the comments. I'll do my best to get to you all as well, too. So I'm just going to dive right in. Do we want to cue Francois' video? All right.
Jake, my question for today's LinkedIn Live session is, you've asked, is sales art or science? And leading up to this, there's been lots of discussion around how much of the process piece is science. And as you pointed out, for a lot of top performers, the last 20% is really that art. When you're helping people find those top candidates, how do you find that skill set? How do you seek that out, that conversational selling component? And the last piece I'd ask is, can you train that? Do people have to have that? Is that a skill set that they either have or they don't have? Thanks so much.
Over here, I love it. We're good? Okay. So, Francois, interviewing candidates, how do you find out about this? So when you're thinking about hiring salespeople, testing for art is one of the most difficult things that you can do. Because one, salespeople are really good at interviewing, right? And so for me, the best thing that I can tell you is to talk to their last 3 bosses. Like the only way to truly know what a salesperson is going to be like is how they were like with their last boss. So one of the interview questions, if you followed any of my content, you know that this is a question I love, is when I talk to your boss at XYZ, how are they going to rate you on a scale of 1 to 10 and why? And then I'm going to ask for a reference to that person no matter what. And so when I talk to their boss, I'm going to want to know, again, tell me a little bit about how they sell. What was their selling strengths? And so I'm going to ask those questions. So for me, the number one way to test for the art side of this isn't the bullshit that comes out of their mouth. It's usually the things that are around like what their boss will call out. And then if you talk to 2 or 3 of their previous bosses, then you'll get like a pattern. And the other thing you said is it can it be taught? And the answer is 100% yes. Like if I think about how I learned a lot of, I don't know, like my sales techniques. I read when I first started in sales. I was actually very fortunate. There's a guy, Brian Ross, and Kara, if you can look to tag Brian Ross so he knows this, Bryan Ross. I worked with him back in the day at the Tampa Bay Rays. So he probably works in sports somewhere. So Brian Ross was a little bit older than I was, and I used to love to read when I was a kid. And Brian was an avid reader. And so I was just fresh out of college, and Brian's like, Jake, go check out this book, go check out this book, go check out this book. And I just started like voraciously reading again. So one of the books I remember, there's a book by Spolstra called like Ice to Eskimos. I remember Zig Ziglar was another one, Secrets of Closing the Sale. So to me, I learned those skills. And I learned like, oh, so if you phrase things this way, people will react this way. Okay, well, let me go try it. Let me go test it out. So I think, yes, you can absolutely learn to be a better like sales artist, but you have to study, Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman is another really, really great book. So my advice to all of you is that if you want to learn more of like the art side of it, yes, you 100% can learn it. You 100% can, understand like what the nuances are that go into it. And you can, it can be learned. I learned it. And there's another book that I recommend. And this one, I've got a funny story about this. There's a book, it's called How to Make People Like You in 90 Seconds or Less by Nicholas Botham. And I read this book in the mid 2000s, but there's a lot in there about, basically your initial interactions, how you carry yourself with someone. And those things make a really big difference. Like there's this thing about like the hand-heart path that I'd never heard before. I'm like, what the heart, hand? But anyway, there are all these things. And I'm like, well, look, this guy wrote a book about it. It sold millions of copies. Like, I'm just going to do what he said. So I think, yes, the art can be taught, but you've got to be a willing participant. You've got to do things that feel really weird and uncomfortable that will help you to, potentially like get over that hump. So that's what I got. All right. So we got another question here. Do we want to tee up the question from Gerard? All right, let's do it.
Jake, what's up? Jared from Trinidad here. Love everything you and Skaled are doing. My question is, what recommendation do you give sales professionals who find themselves right on the cusp of being great, but they continue failing and failing? I know of an insurance agent who is just shy of getting into the MDRT, which is the $1 Million Round Table segment. In other words, getting up to a certain level of revenue generated. And they keep butting their head at a particular amount. They're not getting over that little edge. So what do you recommend for persons who keep running into that little barrier?
All right, my man Gerard, as usual, thank you. Gerard's the best, right? How about a thumbs up for Gerard? If you guys don't follow Gerard, he's out there, he's making things happen. Again, I appreciate you. So thank you for the question. So if you're at the cusp of being great, or you think you're at the cusp of being great, I think the number one barrier that most people have is their comfort zone. That if you think about what's happened is you've developed a way to sell that has got you to a certain point. And so making changes in that process is going to be very, very nerve-wracking for you. Most of the time, the difficulty that I see is, can you call out bullshit when you hear it? And so I did a post yesterday about it, and I think this is a good time to bring it up, which is about when people say like, yeah, this is really interesting. Can you send me some information? Like, I'd really like to learn more, and circulate internally. What separates good from great salespeople is consistently when they hear that stuff, when they hear that mindset, when they hear that, they confront it head on. And every great seller I've ever known has zero problem with confrontation. And let's be very clear, there's a massive difference between confrontation and aggression. And confrontation with confidence and aggression. And a lot of people, especially I think like newer salespeople, I sometimes hear people say, like, well, I don't want to be pushy. I'll tell you what happened to me and why this, I think this was like the start of me becoming like a next level seller. I remember I was 26 or 27 and I was sitting there, I just had a call and this guy said that to me. Yeah, Jake, oh, yeah, this is really cool. This is really interesting. What's up, Stefan? Thanks for joining us on Instagram, man. Stefan, we got to go get a beer soon, man. It's been a while. So hit me up. Let's do it. So on the side note, so let's go back to it. So I hung up the call and I knew that I wimped out. Again, I'd read my books. I knew that I was supposed to go do this. I knew that I was supposed to ask this guy this additional question, but I wimped out. And I sat there and I had a little pity party for myself. I was like, man, I know I should ask this guy this question. He said, Jake, send me some information. And I wimped out. And so I had a talk with myself and I said, going forward, at every sales interaction, there's all these moments. And it's usually someone gets a high-pitched voice. You kind of know them. They're visceral in our gut. You kind of feel them. I decided, look, I had two choices. I could hang up the call and know that I left something on the table and could have done more. Or I could get uncomfortable and just have a more real conversation. And so for me, I chose to make other people uncomfortable. And that might sound insane to people, but so now anytime, and again, I think to draw, this is your question. When you talk about the art of sale, that art of the sale is the ability to get uncomfortable, to get people to move, to get people to open up to you. And so now it's look, I get that question a lot, and I'm happy to send you things, but let me ask you this. Do you really feel like this is something that's going to work for you? And that's it. You just call it out. It's the same thing at the end. And again, you talk about what separates good from great and that ability to get over the cusp and really be excellent. And this is in sales. This is in running your own business. This is in being an entrepreneur and all of that. It's when those moments come, do you lean into them or do you back away? It's the same thing with price. Someone says, hey, yeah, so, all right, so it looks like the investment here is going to be $35,000 over the next 2 months. And you hear the other person say, yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, cool. And we all know we're hardwired as humans. When you hear someone get that high pitched voice and they're like, yeah, hey, so yeah, I'd love to go on a second date with you. Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. Love to. Yeah. And then you wimp out and you're like, oh man, I should have said something. But that's what you got to do. You got to lean in. So my friends, you got to lean in. Hey, look, I sense a little hesitation in your voice. Tell me, was there something I could have done differently? Whatever it is. So Gerard, that's a very long answer to a very short question around how you actually become great is in those uncomfortable moments. Are you willing to do what it takes to be successful? And are you willing to get out of your comfort zone, push people out of their comfort zones? Because that is the art of sales. The art of sales, look, it's not for me to just give information. I mean, there's some elements to that too where I can make a counter argument, but I got to get you to move. I got to get you to do something about it. You just taking action isn't good enough. I need you to do something about it. So that's it. All right. And again, everyone, whether you're following along on Instagram, you're following along on LinkedIn, please make sure to drop your questions in the comments. You've got your questions around it, or maybe you've got a comment like my folks over here talking a little bit about, sales, what's happening, what's not happening. Let me know. So drop your questions in the comments. Let me know about the art. I've got some more questions that we're going to review too. Again, if you like what you hear, a hand clap sometimes, a little heart, whatever the emoji is that really resonates with you most when you hear something. All right, so we've got another one from my man, Steven. Or actually here, before we go to the next video, it looks like we've got a question from Giannis, right? Is this Giannis? Okay. Giannis, if sales can be an art, what art movement? I already answered that one. Sorry, Giannis. I tried my best. I don't know art that well, so I can't really answer what art movement sales would be. Okay, this is from Hendrik Pinkston. Do you think AI can take the place of an SDR? So this is a great question. This is about, look, Jake, if you're telling me that sales is part art, do I think that AI can replace humans and mimic the art? The answer today is no, it can't, right? But if you look about where we're headed, there is basic human interaction that there is a 100% chance that basic human interaction is going to be replaced by robots, right? And I really honestly think you have to be completely you're either completely delusional or you're pandering to the audience if you say that these roles aren't going to be at least replaced or shrunk greatly. So again, if I'm a sales development rep, and let's say I've got my sales engagement platform, I've got Outreach, for example, I've got Outreach.io, SalesLoft, whatever it might be, okay? And you have this platform, okay? That platform is reading millions of emails that go out every single day. It's reading all of the voicemails. It's hearing what's working and what's not working. Machines need data to learn and get better. Therefore, over time, the machines will then be able to recommend what should be said, how you should say it, all of these things. So I think, yes, in sales, very, very basic human interaction is going to be automated in the next 5 years. There's no doubt. Because all of you who are in sales development right now or in sales, you're feeding the machine the data it needs to replace you. I'm not saying don't use it, right? We still use the tools, but that's how this works. That's how machines get smarter. They get smarter when you feed it more information. So yes, is my answer. Now, where it won't be able to do is it won't be able to handle like complex questions, right? Hey, what about this, this, and this? So yes, there's still a place for the SDR, but that basic back and forth, my friends, that's going the way of automation. I'm sorry it is. And if I was someone like brand new in my career and you've been a sales development rep for a couple of years, to me, it's like going into being a truck driver right now. If you are going to school right now to be a truck driver, quit immediately and go find another vocation that's not going to be replaced by self-driving cars or robots. So be smart about this. An SDR can be a really great pathway to marketing or sales, but yes, it will be replaced. So I'm sorry. Some people might hate that. Colin Cadmus, I know he hates that thought, but I am telling you right now, mark this in your calendar, February, what's today?
It is the
10th, February 10th, 2020. Jake Dunlap said, he told me, and now you rewind, it's 2024. He said that all this shit was going to be automated, and guess what? Shit was automated. So I'm telling you right now, it's happening. You can put your head in the sand. You can say, no, Jake, but blah, blah, blah. The robots are coming. Deal with it. Level up. Skill up. What's up, Aaron? How are you doing, man? Aaron joined us over here on Instagram. Appreciate it, man. It's been a while. Got to do another podcast. I had a lot of fun on your podcast. This was like a year ago. All right, so got another question from Megan. Megan says, what's the best way to get people to respond when outbounding? So look, again, today I'm focusing on the art part of sales, right? So I'm gonna get more into the human psychology than like sequence or cadence strategies or any of this shit, okay? So I'm gonna get into the art of this. So I want you to think about outbounding, okay? So you're reaching out to someone, they don't know who the fuck you are, they've never heard of you, they have no idea who you are, okay? You have to understand, we as humans, there's a technique called mirroring, and this is a very classic sales technique, which means we tend to like people that look, sound, and behave like us. It's a communal caveman thing that we're hardwired with, where if someone is like, oh, they talk really fast and I talk really fast, like, ooh, I like that. You know, like, oh, hey, they like to wear hoodies, I like to wear hoodies, ooh, like I like them. This is just a thing. And so for me, when you're doing outbound activities or you're trying to get in front of someone, right, you have to engineer your communication style to match them. And if I look at a lot of communication style, it doesn't mean you have to be overly professional. Like, I think that's a big misnomer where people feel like they've got to be, well, this person's a very, you know, like smart person, or like, so I'm going to sound professional. It's like, no, go look at how your CEO talks or your VP talks. So step one is you got to mirror their communication style. Probably got to be short. It's got to be professional, but yet not like you're talking to like your army dad or something. Like, stop doing that. That's horrible. And then you've got to help them see themselves in the mirror. So there's some very basic things that we use, Megan, that I think will be helpful for all of you. Is, again, this is the art side of it. What do people want to hear? They want to know that you know what my job does, that you solve a problem that's very specific to my role, and that you've worked with people, so you're proven. So if you say, look, Jake, I work with a lot of other VPs of operations in industrial manufacturing. I know that these are the top two priorities for a lot of my clients. You know, I'm doing some interesting work with Honeywell and blah, 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 but I'd love to set up time, and, you know, more than anything, this would be a competitive analysis, and I can walk you through what some of our top clients in industrial manufacturing are doing. Again, tailored to the point. I know that a senior level person is always thinking about the competition. So Megan, that's my advice there. Again, when I think about outbounding, you have got to think about the art, not the words that you're saying, like, not like, did I nail all of this? It's, did I make it in a way that's really easy for like that person to hear? And so, I mean, look, this isn't all your communication. You should do this, but when I'm outbounding in particular, that's what I would do. So video, so just normal AMA, so Joseph. Okay, do you want to go to Steven's video? Go to Steven's? All right, so we're going to do another video for all of you following along on Instagram. Steven.
Hey, Jake. Thanks for all the value that you deliver to this platform day in and day out. My question for you is on the art of sales and practice. What do you suggest is the best way to practice and refine that skill set without having to do it on prospects or clients in a live environment? Thanks, Jake.
All right, so one, I love this question, Steven. And I'm going to answer it, but I'm going to say something else like as a comment on top of it. You have to practice live. You've got to try new techniques and put yourself out there and sound like a complete moron. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. They want to wait until they've got something perfect. It's just like, this is my little perfect like thing that I'm going to use, and it's going to be great. And for me, though, I know, I think this will work. And I also know, when I try it for the first 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 times, it's not going to work. It's going to sound like stupid, but I don't give up because, again, it goes back to like, you know, when you sound natural and things sound good, things sound like you're in the flow, then you don't have to, like, it just takes time. And so one is, Steven, you have to test things live. Like, you can't just do it in a petri dish. The other thing is everyone needs a friend like me. Okay. And what I mean by that is I'm not your best friend. There's certain scenarios where you should never, ever, ever come to Jake Dunlap. And I'm very upfront with people about this. If you have a very good idea that you're really excited about, that's kind of half-baked, and you're looking for someone to give you positive affirmation about it, do not email me, call me, or text me. I'm not that friend. Like, I'm the friend instead that you bring things to, and I tend to just go off. I will just give you the raw. So you need to find a counterpart in your sales organization, or you need to find a counterpart that you can sit there with who's going to really beat you up. And I would find someone who really knows the voice of your customer. I would find that, maybe it's, someone who's a previous client, but I would find someone who really knows the mindset of the buyer that you're going to be talking to. That would be my advice, man. Is like, you find that friend or that person who's going to like beat you up because they care about you, as opposed to the people who are like, yeah, that sounded really good. Ugh. Like, if you go do some role plays and every single time someone's telling you it sounded good, go find a new friend to practice with, right? Like, you don't want someone who's going to let you drive the lane every time. You want someone who's going to play tough defense every time. Basketball analogy for those of you who may not have followed along. Okay. So let's see. Did we get a question over here? Melina, what's up, Melina? She said, what would you? I don't know what that means. Can you elaborate? And I'll add some more detail to it, but I appreciate it. So again, everyone, make sure to keep dropping your questions in here. We're getting some more questions that are piling in. Again, the art of sales, whether you want to talk about outbound, inbound sales, closing, enterprise. I have, again, been at this for a long time, ran tens of thousands of sales meetings. I think that that's technically possible, at least like 5,000. So, all right, let's see. So we've got Grayson on buyer expectations. So Grayson says, what's your advice for setting expectation and expectation management in a B2B world of consumer-driven behaviors? Okay, so this is one of my favorite topics. We like to think that sales is dissimilar. And, usually how I know the difference between a good and a great reps see the similarity in the patterns of the way that people behave. That not everyone is an ABC, but Susan's a JY7, Roger's a 652. And that means he behaves hard up front, then he does this, and then he acts like this. And if you've been in sales and you're aware and you're present, you start to see patterns in behavior. And couple that with, I know how people have bought, I know how people have bought in the past. And so I know the process that needs to be followed. So for me, the first answer to your question, Grayson, is if in any deal, you don't have a compelling event. And what I mean by a compelling event is, Jake, we have an initiative around this thing, and we need to have it live in the next X period. And that X period is going to be different for all of you. So in that period, that's the first thing. Because once I have that, I can work the entire equation backward. We can keep it rolling. There's some questions coming in.
Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So once I have that, I then work back a reverse timeline. Okay, so John, and actually here's the pro tip. So Grayson, get out your notepad. Everyone on Instagram, get out your notepad. This is like the pro tip. You don't do it. So like, let's say I say, yeah, Jake, we'd love to have a solution in place by March 1st. Okay, that's the signature date. What I want you to do is focus on the impact date. So let's say, if you've got onboarding that usually takes 6 weeks, you've got people to speed, then you can say, look, so if we sign on March 31st, we're going to probably start to see results by probably May 20th. Does that hit your timeline? No, it doesn't, Jacob. Oh no, it doesn't hit it. Okay, well look, as I work this backward, then here's how we're going to need to do to accelerate it to actually get those results in April. So Grayson, again, all you need to do is understand when do they need to have the impact by and work that timeline backward. So that's it. That's all you do. If you just do that, I'm telling you, it's a big part of our customer framework that we're developing at Scale, which is basically our version of a sales methodology, is it all hinges on understanding the impact date and working it backward. So Grayson, you're getting a sneak peek at what we're rolling out here, but that's it. So if you do that, if you understand and you anchor in their expectations versus your expectations, you're gonna have a lot easier time getting deals done. So we have our first question here coming in from Instagram. So it says, what would you recommend to get better fit LinkedIn leads and how to engage with them? So again, I'm gonna focus on the art of the sale. Thank you, Melina, I appreciate it. And we're gonna talk about kind of the art part of sales on LinkedIn in particular. And candidly, I think this applies to Instagram. I think this applies to really any social media platform. We live in a time now where we are so focused on near-term results. This month, this quarter. And maybe I was lucky in retrospect. I grew up in a period where I had those same stresses. But I always, and I tell my team this all the time, I don't know why I ran my business this way or why I did it this way, but I did. I always looked at my life as like 80, 15, 5. And I'm doing, in my week, I'm spending 5% of my time on long-term shit. Things that I don't think are going to pay off for like 9 to 12 months. That's not even that long-term. I'm spending 15% of my day or my time on things that are going to pay off in 6 months, 3 to 6 months. So that way, when I show up in the future, it's all taken care of. Like and then I just keep doing that to where I'm not always stressed, right? And then 80% of my time in the day-to-day. So I'm going to talk about why that's applicable to LinkedIn now. So why I tell that story is, look, you need to treat LinkedIn and your social media platforms the same way. Treat them like you're 15%. Build relationships. Connect with people. Engage with content. Pass on relevant value. Wait maybe a month. And then when there's something that happens, they post something, you guys put out a good piece of content that's relevant, then you go for the ask. So if you want to know how to use more of like the art part of sales to LinkedIn, it's build a little bit of rapport before you reach out. That's really like the best advice that I can give you, is to make sure that you're building a little bit of rapport as you go along. So if you're wanting a way to get better fit LinkedIn leads, is you can use Sales Navigator. It'll tell you who posted in the last 30 days. We train all of our teams. So Courtney Johnson, Bearheiser, they train all of our clients that, basically every morning you just come in and you look at who posted. So if if you talk about better fit leads, Melina, I can build a list of 2,000 prospects and I can just go look, and every morning maybe 5 people post and I can go interact to start to build that relationship capital. So that is my advice. Like, if you want to know the art part of the sale in particular that you should be thinking about on LinkedIn, don't go for the hard ask until there's a timing. There's something that happened, whether you've got the right piece of content at the right time, they said something, and when those stars align, it's easy. So again, think of a lot, like you might have your more aggressive LinkedIn, but I want you to think about, for some of those top relationships where you're trying to get in the door, I really want you to think about, carve out 15% of your week to just nurturing people. Nurture. Then you go for the ask when it's time, and your likelihood to get the meeting is going to skyrocket. So that's my advice on better fit LinkedIn leads. All right, everyone, keep the questions coming. We still got like 28 minutes. Love this. All right. So again, questions in the comments. Thank you. Our first Instagram question came through. LinkedIn folks, make sure you keep the questions coming. We got a lot that are coming in. Again, make sure to hit the like button. Give it a thumbs up. If you think that there's anything interesting, tag your teammates. I'm dropping some real knowledge here, friends. Tag your teammates. They're going to want to hear this shit for sure. So, all right. Tanner, what's your opinion on sending veto letters to CEOs? So, my friends, first let's talk, what is a veto letter? And let me see if I remember this. It's like very important top officer. Can you verify that, Kara? Kara, can you Google that? Veto letter. Is it very important top officer? If I got it right, I'm going to give myself a big pat on the back because I haven't talked about a veto letter in a minute here. Oh, well, why is it an O? It was very important top executive. I was very, very close. So basically what this is, this whole concept, just Google veto letter. This is like a concept. Can you look at when this came out? What does Google say that the first time it showed up? This shit's got to be from like the 80s. But no, this is from before that. What's Wikipedia say? Wikipedia. Anyway, veto letters is something that I don't remember how it got invented, but it's from before. So look, I'm a fan of it, Tanner. I'm a fan of veto letters, meaning basically what they are letters to executives. There's a guy, Ed, in New York, I'll tag him, who does these things called speed sheets, and they basically will summarize an annual report and send it to it. The key is, again, it goes back to what I said in the very beginning of this. If you're going to reach out to an executive, if you're going to try to engage with someone, do you know how they talk, how they speak, and what they care about? And if you know that deep down, not what you care about or what you think they should care about, and that's it. So again, the art of the sale when you're sending a veto, it's got to reverse engineer. They've got to read that thing like it's their annual report. They've got to read it like, oh, wow, this person gets me. Did you get a veto letter? What? All right. Someone comment if you know when the veto letter came out. Stefan, the OG ABM. That's right. Account-based marketing is bullshit, by the way. I was sending sweaters to people from their alumni and writing letters in 2008. Okay. So all of the whole ABM thing, I don't know. The fact that we're even calling it something is kind of silly. Okay. Next up, we've got Rebecca Nixon. What is y'all opinion? Did she write y'all? Did she actually write the words y'all? You copied and pasted. So one, I appreciate Rebecca the y'all. I live in Texas now, so I'm all in on the y'all. Going 5G tech for mobile, T-Mobile. I'm researching art and science, and this is transformation in marketing. So basically, her question is around 5G tech for mobile and kind of art and science of this transformation. Yeah, I mean, let's think about the art, right? The art side of this is, 5G is going to be a massive improvement, right? The art is helping people to see it in their day-to-day. If you're just a lay person, you are never going to know the difference between 5G and what we have 4G. You're never going to know. So the key is who are the people that are going to care about it, and then how do you position it to those people? And I think, when you think about marketing and you think about people that are doing this really well, Rebecca, it's the people that, again, they reverse engineer the people that they feel like are initially going to be the power users versus everybody else. So, if you think about, what is the book? Crossing the Chasm, right? And it talks about this idea of the innovators, early adopters, early majority, late majority, and laggards. And there's a chasm between early adopters and, early adopters and early majority. And that's where the chasm exists. It's a great book. Go out and read it. If you're in business, you're in sales, if you just want to learn about the basics of creating a market, go read Crossing the Chasm. So yes, that's my answer. If you want to cross the chasm, you have to make sure, again, once we get to those early majority and what they care about, then you change your messaging, right? And again, the good part is social media ads, I can do that in real time. But I think a lot of people, they stick to their same value prop for too long. And so for me, when I think about this, it's really how do you adapt over time? So, and evolve that once you then become the giant. Once 5G becomes, mainstay, and you have the early adopters who are switching, then it's how do I actually get you to switch? All right, so John Grispin, I think this is in a previous post, wasn't it? John put this out? Yeah. So John had asked a question, what are the best sales psychology books you have read? Kara, do we have a link to the post about all my book recommendations? Can you find that? Okay, so I'm gonna drop all my best book recommendations, and what I'd like to do is just add that to like jakedunlap.com, like /books, like if we can get a page up, so I can help you. So I'm gonna drop a link in the comments, and I mean Kara's gonna drop a link in the comments, and it'll talk to you about a lot of the books. Look, for me, I really think every single person, if you are in sales, you should read the classics, and those are guys like Zig Ziglar and The Secrets of Closing the Sale, Brian Tracy and The Art of the Close. And if you just read those guys, and the reason I'm telling you to read them is that some of this shit is hokey, but what you'll do is you'll realize that they've reverse engineered the way that people buy. And the real motivators, the book, Predictably Irrational. Again, we behave in very specific patterns that don't always make logical sense. Look, sales wouldn't exist if people were logical. Let's just call this out right now. Sales, we wouldn't even need sales. Trust me, like I wish human beings would behave logically. Sales wouldn't exist. I could just give you facts and information and then you'd go and like make the best decision. So that's my big thing, is that I feel like, and then guess what? People don't behave rationally. Therefore, sales is how do you deal with that irrationality. So Predictably Irrational. The last book that I'm going to call out, John, is by Daniel Kahneman. He's an economist. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow. And he talks a lot about pricing theory. And I think it's a really interesting take on pricing theory that will help you understand like how we absorb pricing. So again, the art of the close, the art of the sale, for me, is around how you frame pricing. One, there's a lot of data that shows always present in threes where you frame the third option, right? So this option is a fully loaded Mercedes, this is a fully loaded Camry, and this is a smart car. The cost difference between the fully loaded Camry and the smart car aren't that much, but the feature set is actually pretty similar to this, and people always pick option B. I have done this in front of probably thousands of people in trainings. I literally will write on a whiteboard, I'll write Mercedes-Benz, fully loaded Camry, smart car, no context. I'll say, what option do you think people pick? And everyone picks the fully loaded Camry. I'm like, why? That makes no sense. Why don't you pick the Mercedes? Right? But my point is, again, we as people, we behave in very specific patterns. So that's it. Vinny agrees. It's an awesome book. So take a read on that. All right. So again, keep the questions coming. I'll probably go for another 15 minutes here. So if you have questions about the art of sales, some of the nuances, maybe things that you're stuck on that maybe a little bit of art could help you to unstuck, then I'll do my best here. All right. So Matthew Bigelow, give us a few lines that a rep can use to shift from being an order taker to a true salesperson. I've got a billion lines for you. So that's one. So the question is around, what is the difference between someone who just can run demos and, actually is an order taker versus someone who is really a great salesperson? Well, I think a lot of this boils down to your ability to listen. And what I mean by that is it's the ability to listen and hear what's being said and unsaid in every conversation. And I don't think you can be a really true salesperson, a great salesperson, if you don't know how to listen to people. And that means you sit there, I'm listening, I hear the pitch of your voice, I hear how fast you're talking, I hear, is there warmth in your voice? Is it cold? Are you brief? I see you're furrowing your brow. I see. If you want to be a true salesperson, you need to be an epic listener. And that requires, and that's why having a process can help you to be a better listener, because I already have my sales process that I can go and rely on. And so for, anyone, that's why the process side, the science side of sales is so important, is it allows me to be a better artist, right? It's like an artist, that has the right canvases, the right paints, they're all in the right place. That allows you to be a better artist, and I think of sales in a very, very similar, piece to that. So going back to your line, what are some big shifts? That's number one. If you're not going to listen, and listen for everything, close your eyes. I think I was very lucky that I learned to sell first on the phone pretty much. I did telemarketing in college. I was in an inside hybrid role out of college. And so, I'd close my eyes and I'd hear what people were saying. I can kind of take myself back there. I could hear them and their tone and their pitch, and I could hear all that shit. And so it allowed me to, and then when I was in person, I got all the visual cues. And then it's like, holy shit, it's like I'm having a completely different conversation. So if you don't want to be an order taker anymore, then I feel like you have to be able to be a great listener. And then if you're looking for some very tactical tips, Matthew, then I'll give you some tactical tips to things that can kind of transition you from being an order taker to a salesperson. One is how you talk about your product. If every single thing, and again, this is more like the art. Actually, I'll say how you talk about your product and how you use pulse questions in your demo. I'm going to talk about the demo because I think that's where the rubber meets the road. You ask all these questions up front, and then I can copy and paste your demo. So you don't use any of the things that I said in the actual demo. So if you're not using any of the things that I said in the actual demo, like what's the point of asking the questions? So if you don't want to be an order taker, you've got to be able to relay back every single thing that comes out of your mouth to me. So what I mean by that is if you say, great, so Jake, there's 3 things that we do really, really well. Okay, the first is you mentioned that you want to do this. Let me show you how we help with that thing. So if you're a true salesperson, you anchor every single thing that you do. What's up, Kevin Davis? Hope you're doing good, man. We're overdue to catch up, by the way, too, man. Hit me up, DM me. Kevin, it's been a while. You've got to anchor every single thing that comes out of your mouth to something the customer said. And if you can just do that, and then at the end of it, then you use a pulse question. So great. So John, you talked about how you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you need to do this, right? Whatever it is. What did I do? Hold on a second. No, hold on. I think I messed up. Oh, there we go.
I'm going to use this moment to center you because it's driving me crazy. Sorry, everybody.
What are you doing?
I'm just going to turn it just this way ever so.
Why don't you just tell me to move?
No, you're good. Well, because you're engaging with 2 virtual audiences at once, so it's
I'm all over the place. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So that's it. You want to be a great salesperson, anchor everything, and then ask the pulse question at the end. So at the end of it, I say, great. So you said you want to do this. Let me show you how you can do it. Then you say, great. So John, do you see how this is going to help you accomplish this? Yeah, Jake, I really do. Great. Now let's move on to the next thing. So great salesperson, guess what? You only solve for a handful of problems, but I'm going to talk about the things that you care about, and I'm going to get your confirmation that you actually care about them and that you see the linkage between how we can help. So then when I get to the close at the end of the meeting, hey, so you saw that we can do this, this, and this. Let's talk about next steps. So that's it, Matt. That's all you got to do. I've got like a billion of those tips, but again, the art there is that I listened to what was really important to you, and I used your words to describe what we do, and I got confirmation that you see the value too. That is it. That is a massive part of sales as you get into it. All right, next question. Again, keep the questions coming. I think we're going to take maybe a couple more here. And then, again, toss the like button out there. Hit the like button. I know you're so enthralled with the video, but feel free. All right, so Kelly Buckband. Kelly, what's going on? I'm in marketing. My company wants me to dip my toes into sales. What's your advice for me as a beginner in sales? Well, that's interesting because I've got to give you like a definition of sales and like what I think it means. You have to have like a one-track mind that your job is to help the client. Now, the caveat is I think that I can help a lot of people, right? And so you have to really believe it. And I've always felt this way. My job is to help to get you on your path. And I felt this way as a leader too. I'm going to try to get you on a path, whether it's here or whether it's somewhere else. I want to get you on your path. And it's the same thing with a customer. Okay, I want to understand what you're trying to accomplish. Hey, can I help them with that? Great. And I'm going to try to sell you. I'm not going to try to just like half-ass it. If I think that I can help you and we've talked about it and you've agreed, I'm going to try to close the deal. And I have no shame in that because look, John, you told me you're trying to accomplish these 3 things. You mentioned that we can do this. Talk to me about what the gap is. So for me, that's really what a lot of this comes down to, Kelly. And at the same time, if they're like, yep, Jake, everything's good. Nope, everything's good. Then I'm like, okay, well, it sounds like you're doing this. Everything's good. It sounds like you're doing this. Everything's good. So look, if one of these other things happens, like let me know. Let's catch up in the next like period here. And so I think that that's a really big component of this is like you have to, you have to really believe your job is to help someone make a decision. And if the decision's no, great. It's not no for forever. I'm going to follow back up with that person down the road because I know that some things are probably going to happen. but I can't convince someone that they have a problem. Now I can try to use questions to pull it out of you and maybe make you have some self-realization. That's really the whole point of the discovery, is so that they start to realize very specific things. So that's what I would focus on, Kelly, is making sure you have really good discovery questions where you go like 2 or 3 levels deep. My like very tactical tip, you've heard me say this before, is after every question you ask, just ask why or like tell me more 2 times. So Jake, so you're trying to hire 25 software engineers. Okay, great. Well, tell me a little bit more. Like, what's happening in the business? Well, we're trying to open a new product. Okay, well, why open the new product now? Well, we've had stagnation in our previous product, and now this product is mission critical to our 2020 growth. Boom. That is an issue. So now instead of saying, I'm going to help you find 25 engineers, instead now I'm going to help you solve your 2020 growth challenge. So you need to get to the heart of what's happening. So Kelly, that's my advice for you. All right, we're going to do one more question here. I want to thank everyone on LinkedIn Live. Thank everyone on the Gram for tuning in and drop your questions in there. Yeah, Vinny, like you said, finding the gap is the biggest piece. Because to me, if there is no gap, then that's a big one. So that's it. What about Matt Bigelow's question? That's what I just answered. Yeah. Eric. All right. Eric, I got a question. Eric Covino. What's up, Eric? Eric is also a client. Eric, which I say a big thank you to you. I'm very excited that we're working on your social strategy for your company. Again, if any of you, look, you guys want to talk social strategy, hit me up. We have a whole group now that's dedicated to that, so we can definitely help. Eric says, I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts on a follow-up process that's both respectful and self-respecting. Okay, so this is Valentine's Day. So I did some posts over the weekend. I'm going to continue to do some fun posts, just because it's a fun topic, talking about the parallels between sales and dating, because there are a lot of parallels. Let's call it what it is, right? And so, this post was really about like, it's like in a date, would you ever be like, at the very beginning, would you go, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. I really appreciate it. Or would you say, at the end, oh, I'd love to set up time to meet with you again down the road, or whatever the hell it is, right? It's like, you just sound soft. I mean, nobody's trying to hear that, not your prospects and not your first date or your second or your third date. So the key is, how do you follow up with someone in a way that also preserves your own self-respect? It doesn't make you sound desperate. So there's some very basic techniques, and these are some very specific. Again, this all goes back. And Michael, I'm going to get to your question too, which is what's the process to increase show-up rates? I'll dip into that one, because this is kind of, these things are kind of intertwined. One is scarcity. When we think things are overly abundant, we tend to devalue them. So for example, if I'm like, hey, John, I'd love to catch back up. Let me know if you're available tomorrow and I'm open. It's like, yeah, why are you so open? Again, this is like hardwired shit. It's our caveman brain, right? It's like we're just hardwired to want scarce things. Like it's just what we are. So one of the techniques that I use, and I've trained thousands of reps on over the years, is if someone is ghosted or went away for a little bit, and then I then reach out and say, hey John, apologies on the delay. I've been out of the office for the last week. I've had a ton of different things come up. Let me know how next Tuesday looks. I want to circle back on these 3 things. So that usually then it relieves the weight off of them of like, oh, I know I need to call Jake back. So again, apologies, John. I've been out of the office for the last week and a half. I had a note to follow up with you last week, but let me know how next Tuesday looks to connect. That has worked really, really well. That'll maybe get you another 10 or 20% of people to re-engage. The other thing, I really like the voicemail and the video. Now you can do a DM with your voicemail or video on LinkedIn. So if you're first degree connection. But again, it's not like I'm checking in, I'm touching base. Instead, it's something much more basic. It's like, hey, John, again, apologies on the delay. Again, I always use scarcity. Like you're going to hear me like I can't not do it. Hey, apologies on the delay. I'm in the airport right now. Like you're in like a busy location. That's a key. I'm in the airport right now, but really wanted to make sure that we connected. Let me know how next Thursday looks. I'll send you an email reminder as well. Take care, man. So I think that there's a way that you do it that makes you look like you were busy as well too. That doesn't come off too degrading. That's candidly one of my big go-tos to not come off. That's actually like my number one go-to. So I like video, but again, always like, I apologize. I've been busy. That is like my go-to. And so what's your process to increase show up rates for demo? This is my last question. So again, before I get to my last question, there's a couple of housekeeping items. One, if you think this is going to be valuable for someone in your network, Kara is going to share the link to YouTube in the comments. And you can find this LinkedIn Live. You can find, if you're on the Instagram, we'll drop it in the comments here too. You go to my YouTube, you can find all these. So tag your teammates, tag your leader, anyone you think is going to benefit from this, and I'm happy to kind of give you my 2 cents on it. But go to YouTube, you can find it there. Again, always tagging yourself or people is easier to find. LinkedIn Lives get kind of buried in the post stream. They don't like repopulate them. It's kind of a pain in the ass. So it's always easier to tag people. And again, I want to thank everyone for tuning in on Instagram as well too. What's up, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in, and kind of my commitment to the gram, the folks here, is to do more, live, more video. I've gotten away from it for the last bit, so be on the lookout for it. So Michael's question, last question of the day, is what is your process to increase show up rates for demos? So there's a couple of things. Again, it goes back to scarcity. If you call me up and you're like, Jake, I just want to make sure we're still good for tomorrow. Like, desperate. Don't do it, right? Instead, what you do is this. Okay, and again, just kind of time it appropriately. If the meeting's tomorrow, the day before, the note that you sent or the call that you make is very simple. You say, hey, John, looking forward to our conversation tomorrow. I'm getting ready to send over the dial-in details. Let me know who else on your team that I should add, who you think will get benefit from XYZ, right? Let me know their email and I'll add them to the invite. Thanks. Right? Then you're not degrading yourself. And I think you'll be surprised, man. 25, I don't know, it's like 20% of people, 1 in 5, are like, oh yeah, go ahead and throw Catherine on there. So if you want to increase your show up rates, that's what we've used, man, is again, you follow up with them a day and 24 hours in advance, at least. And you say, hey, looking forward to the meeting tomorrow. Who else from your team should I include on the invite as I'm sending over the Zoom or whatever it is? Then again, you're not checking in, you're doing it. You're getting them more involved. So that is my number 1 technique to increase your show rates. Just do it. I promise you that piece of advice alone is worth at least a 5%, maybe a 10% blip in your show up rate. So thank you everyone on LinkedIn. I really appreciate you all tuning in. Again, go check out YouTube, tag your teammates, toss out the like, that makes sure it distributes to more people. And you will see us on Friday for the recap. The recap is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to talk a lot about Valentine's Day. Stay tuned on Instagram too. Get this whole week, I'm just going to give tons of art of sales, dating analogies. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to try not to get in trouble while I'm doing it too. So thanks again, everyone. Thanks everyone on Instagram, and we will see you all Friday at 9 Central, 10 Eastern. There'll be a video that'll drop, but in between now and then, thanks for following the content. See you, everyone. Quick announcement. We have invested a lot of time into YouTube, so go over to my YouTube channel, just type in Jake Dunlap, click the little bell, and you'll get notified every time we upload a video. We have over almost 300 videos now. Anything you want to know about sales, sales leadership, so get over and subscribe.